Welcome back to Fearless Frank Reviews here on YouTube. I gotta be honest, folks, I was not prepared for this movie. No. I mean, I've heard about it was bad. Well, before I first heard about it from the Nostalgia Critic, amongst all things, I saw his review on it just the day prior, and apparently the film was actually available to me, so I decided to give it a watch. Because sometimes he tends to fuck up on his reviews, which of course he has, and still does to this very day. Like he still makes royal fuck ups, and he needs to bring back the top 11 nostalgic fuck ups, which he has never done, but he needs to. But for this movie, yeah, yeah, his review only touched the tip of the iceberg. This movie's really bad. Yeah, originally going to be slated to release in 2002, but didn't get released until about 10 years later. It's been dubbed as one of the worst animated films of all time. A movie with a huge all-star cast, terrible graphics to say the least, and a very stupid storyline that makes absolutely no sense. And mostly it's completely ridiculous. And a shitload of sexual innuendos, along with a bunch of terrible food puns. If you haven't guessed that at this point, today's movie, Food Fight. Just roll the credits. Come on, let's just get this over with. Yes, folks, we're going to talk about the movie Food Fight. Now, there is one piece of good news I have to say about this movie. I don't own a physical copy of this movie at all. No. And I know the lingo of my show is this. Like, I have a specific rule on my show. If I have a physical copy of a movie, I would have to review it. I would technically review it. All right? But, of course, I have a set of rules. A movie is part of a continuing franchise. I can't review the movie. So, but but there are certain circumstances nowadays that actually make it possible for me to review the certain set movie. For example, I can review Deadpool 1 and 2, the Blade Trilogy, the Blade Trilogy, the Fantastic Four films from the 2000s era, the Spider-Man trilogy, and okay, pretty much any one of the early Marvel films from the 2000s, except for the X-Men movies. Those movies just kept lingering on. Those movies just kept on dragging on for a long time. All right, they just didn't know when to stop. So, yeah, I can actually make. So the rule is that if I have a physical copy of the movie, I can review it. All right, but I made certain exceptions over the. But as my show has progressed over the years, I've actually made certain exceptions. For example, I've actually talked about the Tom and Jerry movie, Godzilla versus Kong, the new Mortal Kombat remake. But that's because of the fact that I kind of enjoyed the movies. I just wanted to actually review them right there on the spot. And of course, with Garbage Pail Kids, sorry, just terrible flashbacks. With that movie, that was a digital copy, and I was able to erase it really easily. Thank God. And so for this movie, I don't have a physical copy. No, I unfortunately saw it on YouTube. Oh God. So, where do I begin with this movie? Well, for starters, this movie was actually originally supposed to be the Wreck-It Ralph of food icons. Combining many iconic iconic food characters over the years. Like Tony the Tiger, Captain Crunch, Count Chocula. All of those type of characters. Yeah, including the Honey Nut Cheerios Bee. Yeah, we're supposed to see all those characters together. But and it was originally supposed to be released in 2002. Unfortunately, due to legal issues, they couldn't actually release all the They couldn't use all the characters. And as I progressively powered through the film, and I literally mean powered through it, just sat there and watched the movie. Thank God I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 at the time as well. to help me get through it. Ugh. But it turns out there was a lot of illegal issues, and somebody stealing the footage. I don't know who wanted to steal the footage of this fucking film because it is god awfully terrible. But regardless, it's pretty bad. It's extremely bad. So the movie was pushed back about 10 years later. A lot of alterations were made from the movie, and dialogue changes were made over the years too. And supposedly there was a rumor going around that the cast members that were actually did their lines many years actually did their lines already, but some of them had to be recalled to do actually reshoots and shit, which is kind of ridiculous. And of course we had characters like the main characters played by Hilary Duff, Eva Longoria, Wayne Brady, Chris Kattan. Jerry Stiller was actually in this at one point too, and the voice actor who actually portrays Harvey Bullock from the Batman animated series. I don't know his name particularly. I keep forgetting his name all the time, but if you heard his voice, you know who I'm talking about. He was actually he was the Italian guy that was in Undisputed 3. Yeah, he was actually in this movie too. And 24-hour Dodger of controversy, Charlie Sheen is in this movie as the main character, Dex the dog detective. God, is it really hard to say this that his performance is the only decent one that's in the entire movie? Is it? Because he was the only decent performer in the whole movie. Well, now that I got all that shit out of the way, let's talk about the film in general. Yeah. Now, like I said before, there was a slight problem with like they couldn't use the certain copyright characters, so they actually had a bunch of replacements to them, and they actually made some new characters for the movie as the main cast members. Uh, so, yeah, I'm not going to bother saying all the names. If you know the characters, then you know the characters particularly, though. So, the movie basically starts off with Dex Dog Detective, or I'm just going to call him Dex, saving a bunch of kittens from a criminal called Fat Cat, which is actually a giant rat. Yeah, and like I said before, Charlie Sheen's character, yes, Dex is actually voiced by Charlie Sheen, and like I said earlier, not lying, he's the only decent performer that actually is giving it a decent performance. Like, I don't even know he was half-assing it though, but either way, his voice acting isn't really that bad. Ironically, so yeah, she saves the kittens, and he's rewarded as a hero to the people of the store. Yeah, all this shit pretty much takes place after dark. You know, when the store closes. The store is actually called Marketopolis Market. Okay, look, I gotta be honest here. In the original footage I actually discovered of the film back in 2002, which I found on YouTube. This is what the store was originally called: Carlson Market. Yeah, they should have stuck with that. Market Octopus Market. What the fuck were they thinking? So yeah, Dex is actually says he wasn't scared at all, but in actuality, he is scared because he's trying to pop the big question to his longtime girlfriend, Sunshine Goodness. And yeah, she's being played by Hilary Duff. So yeah. So he sets up a nice little dinner, and of course his buddy Daredevil Dan, who's a squirrel, a chocolate icon, gets into a bit of an accident. So she goes out to help Daredevil Dan, and hours go by, and she just disappears. Yeah. Ugh. At this point, you might as well just put a sticky note on the girl saying, "Here, kidnap me," and all black Sharpie. Here's a white sticky note. Oh, wait, here. Here's a white T-shirt. I'm going to take this this spray can of black paint, and go, kidnap me. Seriously, it's literally like kind of obvious what happened here. And so, anyway, Dex actually freaks out. She's missing, and literally 6 months go by, and he basically gives up the dog detective business and decides to open up a club called the Coco Banana. where we see a ton of food icons. And on the way there, well, they're over there, and actually, well, he flies his way there and crashes into tree elves. Yeah, tree elves that make cookies. Clearly, that was supposed to be the Keebler elves. Actually, in the original footage, it was the Keebler elves. Yeah, like seriously, if you actually watch the original demo reel of what Food Fight was originally supposed to be, yeah, the characters were originally supposed to be the Keebler elves, but they got, but the movie, but the producers got in trouble, so they had to remove it from the movie. Go figure. Dex runs across a character called, which I'm just going to call Weasel. I have no idea what his product name is. He's kind of annoying. He's kind of like the Coyote. He's kind of like the Looney Tunes equivalent of the Coyote. That, let me rephrase that. He's basically like the crappier version of Looney Tunes Wile E. Coyote. And he's kind of an asshole. Kind of a skeevy little, kind of like a skeevy little weasel character. You know, like you normally see those weasel characters in mob movies or any other action movie or drama or thriller film. Yeah, he's one of those type of characters. And guess who voices him? The director of the movie. I'm not kidding. Literally, the director is actually in the movie as a character called as the Weasel character, and he gets fucked up a lot in the movie. So if you actually want to actually want to beat the shit out of the director, too late. He actually does it in the movie. It's kind of like what happened when people are if people didn't like Michael Dougherty's Godzilla King of the Monsters. Like, and it's like, I'm gonna kick your ass, Michael Dougherty. Oh, you don't need to. You know why? Look at that. I actually got eaten by Rodan. So only a true Godzilla fan would allow that shit to happen. Speaking of which, I should probably review that movie sooner or later. Oh wait, no, the MonsterVerse is still continuing, so no, can't. Ugh. However, before the so-called party at the Coca Banana, just earlier in that day, we actually get to see the new the store Marketopolis's the store's new product representative called Brand X, played by Christopher Lloyd, and it's a character that let's just say you saw him, you call the cops immediately. I'm not kidding. I mean, seriously, he's got like a big head. He's like all jittery and stuff, and he's moving like completely abnormal, like, yeah. Hello, I'm your new Brand X representative. The product name is called Brand X, and he's called Mr. Clipboard. I wasn't expecting a new product today. Oh, you're gonna get some new products. Your customer will know how to live without Brand X. It's what I want to finish. It's practically addictive. Okay, seriously, if you saw somebody that looked and acted like this, you call the cops immediately. Like, seriously, you would have security on this person 100% no matter what. And yes, I know some people will say, what if the guy was black? Would you do that to them too? Doesn't matter what race they are. But black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Latino, it doesn't matter. If you saw somebody that looked and acted like that, you call the cops immediately and have security on that person like shit on Velcro. Yeah. So in actuality, the story what is it? Sir, you're called a Brand Rex. Right. Sir, I'm just letting you know, I called the cops like 5 minutes ago, and they're actually on their way here. And this is security. They're going to keep an eye on you to make sure you don't leave. What are you talking about? Because you look like a because you look like a fucking psychotic crackhead that looks like he skipped from a mental asylum. What I have an agree. No, I don't know who the hell hired you, but they were out of their goddamn minds. Why the hell do you think I would actually buy your product, which was a reject from a Batman film? Honestly, the fuck is wrong with you? Police! Yeah, here's the guy. Get him out of here. God, fucking jerk off. Brand expert. Yeah, no, fuck that. Not taking it. Get it out of here. Nope, not taking it. That's what happened if it was in the real world. And Brand X? Really? Brand X? Were you really that desperate to use a product name that was actually dropped in a Batman film? Seriously, how come nobody remembers this? seriously, okay, in case you remember, in Tim Burton's Batman, Joker's product it was actually called Smiley, and it was actually a mixed product. But it actually had deadly chemical compounds. However, separately, they wouldn't do anything to you whatsoever. Nothing would happen to you. But if you mix the components together, then it's deadly. Or like shampoo and deodorant, or like cologne and deodorant, like the toothpaste, or something, whatever that is. If you mix the two products together, it's automatic death sentence. And where's the brand X thing come in? It was because of the fact that Joker actually used in his commercial, going, "Oh, this guy's not doing any good. He's using brand X." So yeah, brand X was a joke from a Batman movie. Really that desperate to use it? Actually, looking at it now, I think maybe brand. I think the title name of X is actually in the public domain. I mean, okay, you guys remember a couple of years ago when I actually did the Showa Gamera film series, and when I got to Gamera versus Jiger, I told you guys originally the film was called in the United States, it was called Gamera versus Monster X. Yeah, that's because it was the first U.S. translation, but then the Sandy Fright dub changed the title back to Gamera versus Jiger, and they called it Monster Jiger. In fact, they called it Jiger in the Monster X version, which is a little weird at some point, but they call it Monster X for some effed up reason. And as a matter of fact, the last time I heard Monster X was actually used in two other movies. A low budget crappy kaiju film that was actually made as a joke that actually had a remake slash sequel. It's on Brandon's Cult Film Reviews. You can go take a look at that video if you want to. But the other one is actually in Godzilla Final Wars, which Monster X described as Godzilla's ultimate opponent, and the monster Godzilla fears the most, because he is equal to Godzilla in every other way in his base form. He has two forms. His base form is actually that like is a unique genetic monster that's a formidable hand-to-hand fighter, meaning he's an expert in martial arts and can physically take on Godzilla, and match his strength blow for blow. And his second form is actually a Kaiser Ghidorah. So yeah, he's a Ghidorah, just genetically altered. It's crazy. So when it comes down to Monster X, most people are going to be thinking about that thing. So how did I go from Foo Fight to Godzilla? Well, let's just say I'd rather be reviewing Godzilla instead of this fucking film. And who's the representative of Brand X? Eva Longoria's Lady X, as a sexy dominatrix type character. Even dominatrixes and people who are into bondage wear would say, lady, you might want to tone it down just a bit. Yeah. That being said and done, and we actually get to see everybody at the Coca Banana, where we see all these food icons, including this little penguin character named Polar, who Dex saved from the weasel earlier. That's nice. He's actually gotten a VIP treatment. That's really nice, said Dex. And Dex is just getting drunk off of milk. I have no idea. I guess milk is basically alcohol in this film, which is kind of stupid because milk does a body good. For one thing, it's good for the bones. It doesn't make any sense. Why is milk actually considered alcohol? I mean, in the Alien Nation franchise, if it's rotten milk, it actually is considered like it's actually like an addictive compound for them. So it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, when Lady X shows up, she actually shows up as Dan's date, and basically because of her, a riot breaks out, like an actual food fight breaks out. Dex breaks the fight up and he tells everybody to get out, and Lady X goes with Dan. So Dex goes back to his apartment and he lingers upon what happened with Sunshine because it's the one case he still wants to try solving. And Lady X happens to show up and they go into a little dance or something. She's trying to put the moves on him using her seductively new perfume. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the hell is Brand X anyway? Well, I actually have a couple of items here for that. I mean, for one thing, I have a grocery bag here with some items. We have the more popular Sunny D. What would you want to have? Let's see if we got soda, OJ, purple stuff. No, we go for the Sunny D. This is a popular product of Orange. But uh, what comes down to it, though, what is Brand X? Brand X actually has a lot of things under its belt. Like, for example, detergents, perfumes, cleaning products, food products as well. Tons of food products. In other words, Brand X is like this. Yeah, this is bowl and this is a bowl and basket, which is actually the ShopRite brand, all right. And this is Stop and Shop's cola. All right, these are basic. These are what we call store brand set of products. All right. But here's the thing: if you go to either Stop and Shop or ShopRite, you'll see either one of these products all over the place. Not just on soda, but also on water, potato chips, cleaning products, meats, ice cream, produce. Same thing for bowl and basket. You'll find it all over the place. So, if anything, Brand X is a brand name. All right, so it's a distributing company. So who would have figured? Anyway, Dex actually hears a scream. He goes out to the goes out to the streets, and he finds out that the guys he actually kicked out earlier got into a huge fight, and a lot of them actually were killed. That makes no sense. All right, there's actually a stupid ball joke where Mr. Clean in here, and yeah, I can go on saying that the nostalgia critic actually made a massive fuck up saying that Mr. Clean was in the shot originally. But when the scene actually goes to the massacre, goes to the massacre scene, you can clearly see Mr. Clean is right there in the shot. So yeah, how do I know this? He's a tall white guy dressed in all white, and he's bald. Kind of obvious. So yeah, like, even Charlie the Tuna makes a couple appearances throughout the movie though. But most of these guys don't actually have any lines whatsoever. So my guess is the brand name guys are just there. All right. Much like how we see how Wreck-It Ralph had a bunch of gaming characters in there, but there's certain characters they couldn't use. So they just made a couple of characters up. Honestly, I don't even know what to think of it. But of course, Dex thinks there's something more to it though, so he actually decides to go back. And here's the thing: his partner Dan is missing, so Dex decides to put his old outfit back on and hit the streets once again to become the detective. So Dex hits the streets again, meets up with Weasel, gets a little information about Weasel from Weasel, find out where the hell Dan is. Apparently, Dan's been with Lady X. So he goes to X. So he goes over to Lady X's place, and he actually sees the perfume thing that she used on him earlier. And he's a little bit concerned because the smell is very familiar to him. Anyway, it turns out Lady X actually it was a trap by Lady X. During this time, Lady X and Brand X and all their mercenaries start to take over the store, wiping out the competition. So yeah, and Dex figured it out immediately that Lady X was responsible for the massacre, and yeah, Lady X has been wiping out the competition. Yeah, and she has a bunch of army soldiers. She has tall soldier, little soldier, big fat lady. Big fat lady's a bunch of the meat products. I don't know about the two soldiers though, but the tall one has a sick fetish. It's like, oh yes, we're gonna rub you out. It's like, okay, I know this was sort of stereotypical back then, saying that that some people actually thought that Nazis were maybe kind of were sick and gay back then, but this is like an insulting stereotype. Okay, I mean, aside from the fact one, the Nazis were never gay to begin with; they were fascist and very racist back then, but sadistic and gay. Sadistic part I understand, but gay, no. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell this person was thinking. Oh, and the guy sounds like he's being voiced by Tim Curry, but it's not really Tim Curry. I'm pretty sure it could be Jerry Stiller amongst all things. But no, it's not Tim Curry at all. It just sounds like Tim Curry. Actually, I think they were trying to get Tim Curry on board with this film, but he said no. So they actually made a voice actor that made it sound like it was him. And yeah, did I forget to mention that all these guys are dressed as Nazis? I'm not even joking. Like literally, all of them are dressed as Nazis. So, like seriously, I commented a little bit earlier about about them being like it's designed like fascist Nazis, but they are designed like Nazis. Like they're exactly Nazis. Okay, look, I know the Nazis were the worst in the entire world, but can you please stop using them? I mean, they're kind of overused nowadays. Yeah. I mean, good God. It's like, what? How's it? Oh, we should make this guy eat. I mean, what do you think the idea was for these people? It's like, oh, we're gonna make these people evil. Make this guy a this Nazi. Okay, so okay, fine. The Nazis were semi-sadistic and shit. That makes a lot of sense. They were evil. It's like, oh, make this one go gleamishly pleasurable every time he heard something or thinks something nasty. What the fuck are you smoking? And whatever it is, you gotta dump it down the toilet and get the fuck out of this office. I have no idea what the fuck is going on with racial process of this character. So either way, Dex and Dan actually gets caught in a hot dryer, but they escape regardless. So anyway, Dex and Dan knows that this woman, that Lady X, is a bunch of robots, flies called exobites or something, and that's what was used to actually kill off the other characters. So Dex and Dan actually make it all the way to Doctor Nose, and remember I said earlier that actually making these characters look like stereotypical Nazis is a huge stereotype. Well, here's another thing too. If you saw this character, yeah, I'm just gonna call this character Doctor Nose because apparently the character was designed from a. Let's just say if they give this guy gave him a Jewish accent, this would have been extremely insultingly racist. Yeah. Oh, Doctor No takes a look at the perfume and he discovers there's a that whatever the secret formula is, it's a deadly narcotic of some kind that prolonged usage will do a lot of internal damage to the human body. So Dex and Dan decide they have to go to they have to go all the way to Mr. Leonard's office. Mr. Leonard's store owner, by the way. They have to go all the way to his office to actually have them recall Brand X. But the problem is, it's daytime and the store is open. So they make it through the entire store with all the nightmarish human imagery you could ever even imagine. I'm not going to show the imagery because, well, do you want to actually sleep all the night? Good. So I don't want you to look at this imagery. Anyway, they go cut right to Polar's place, and he basically Dex tells Polar to get all the remaining icons together for a strike or something at the Coco Banana. So they make it all the way to the office just before the store closes, and they meet up with two characters. Okay, one of which is a chocolate cereal vampire, which I'm assuming was originally supposed to be, which obviously was supposed to be Count Chocula, but they actually changed the character during the many rewrites, of course. And they turned the computer on, and they had the IBM logo actually talking to them. Yeah. So during the process, Dex makes a discovery that there were only so-called two recalls made recently. One was about a couple of years. One was about 2 years, about a year, maybe 2 years ago, with a prune company with Penelope Prunes, and yeah, she was an ugly as hell mascot back then. And the prunes were genetically altered prunes, and they were not good, and the FDA didn't like it at all, so they decided that it wasn't good for them, so they had a recall. But the second recall was one thing that that actually shocked Dex. Sunshine's products were recalled too, and this happened 6 months ago when she went missing. So she was recalled. What the fuck? Doing a little bit further digging, he discovers that it was Brand X who actually recalled everything. So yeah, Dex has a big bone to pick with the Brand X people. So yeah, uh, and of course the Brand X general is right out. Tall general is out there, and they seal the door, and they cut the power. But before they were able to cut the power, they were able to send a message to corporate telling them to recall Brand X. Yeah. Back at the Coca Banana, Polar gets all the characters together. And of course, tall General X is there waiting for him, and and he says, "You must announce your allegiance to Brand X." And they start singing the Brand X theme song, which is Brand X, it's simple and plain, Brand X. It's grabbing all the same. Dex goes in and they start singing their triumphant song, which is the French national anthem. I I don't know why it's that, and honestly, I really don't give a shit. But okay, in case you haven't figured it out at this point, the movie is actually paying a lot of homages to Casablanca. All right, this movie is basically a terrible animated remake of Casablanca, and it's extremely stupid. Which will explain why the villains are dressed up as Nazis. So anyway, Lady X and Brand X actually goes to war with Dex and the rest of the store, and they have a massive food fight with horrible CGI fighting and just yeah, it's just horrible CGI fighting. Yeah, it's really bad, extremely bad. So yeah, and there's some casualties along the way. Polar gets hurt in the process. Weasel, believe it or not, actually winds up helping the cause by actually taking out the big fat meaty woman at some point. By taking her, I mean he kills her. Yeah. Anyway, the professor discovers there's actually a way to actually reverse the formula, but it's going to take some time and to actually unalive everybody who actually was killed. So there's actually a way to bring people back to life who actually were killed by Brand X. So, okay, fine. So, so Dex actually wants to take out Brand X himself. So during the middle of during the middle of the quiet ceasefire at the moment, or during the firing, or whatever during the battling, he makes it back to the Brand X HQ and he discovers Sunshine was there too. Yeah, Sunshine goodness is there. Oh, wow. Why? It turns out Lady X actually was actually responsible for what happened. He's the one who actually had Sunshine recalled. Had Sunshine recalled. So anyway, there's somehow there's a huge lightning storm, and all the characters put like lightning rods on all the safe spots, but Brand X didn't. So the building's getting hit by nothing but lightning. Lady X escapes. General X is still there, but Dex actually winds up killing him, albeit the stupidest thing ever. And we get to hear the dumbest thing the guy's ever going to say, and this proves that this was definitely this kind of feels like a fetish film at one point. I'm not going to say the line because it's obviously very stupid. Yeah. So pretty much all the generals are dead at this point. Like fat chick general, tall general, little general was actually killed earlier in the battle. So yeah. And okay. So Dan comes in and rescues them as the building's falling. So yeah. And I asked, did Sunshine really go blind? She just goes, I never stop believing in you, Dex. Seriously, like, and she just has her eyes just looking straight ahead. It's like, did she really go blind? She has the Brand X logo on her. So what happened? Well, apparently her essence, Sunshine's essence was stolen to actually make the secret formula to Brand X and make it deadlier. So whatever the Brand X formula, secret formula is, it mixed it in with Sunshine Goodness's formula. But guess who shows up? Who's in the middle of their world? Mr. Clipboard. I'm back, bitches. I'm gonna get you. I have a bone to pick with you. Oh, really, Dexter? Get there. I get you. He trips and falls over. And then his head just opens up and it's a giant robot. What? It's Lady X. Anyway, Lady X reveals to herself that she's actually Priscilla Prunes. The product of, you mean the ugly bitch that was recalled earlier? What? So it turns out Priscilla Prunes was recalled because nobody liked her product. And after she was recalled, she went down to Brazil and got plastic surgery, and she looks like the dominatrix she is today. What? And then it's revealed that she actually had Sunshine recall so she could steal the elixir from Sunshine's formula to make Brand X's formula. I'm pretty sure M. Night Shyamalan would just look at this thing and just go, I don't know how baked you were, but even if I was super baked, I would never write something that stupid. No, no, no. no, no, no. And so Lady X is saying, "Oh, enough about me. Let's kill you." So she actually starts to fight Dex, but Dex doesn't want to fight back because it's his moral code that he doesn't want to fight women. That's kind of stupid, but uh, Sunshine joins in and she actually beats the shit out of Lady X. So we get a terrible, terrible CGI fight scene between the most two attractive women in the entire film, and the final punch from Sunshine actually turns Lady X back to Priscilla Prune's ugly form. Ugh, wow. So yeah, she gets and she basically says, "All I wanted was you, Dex, Dog Detective. You and real domination." And Dex's final words to her were, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a spam." You know what? I don't really give a spam about this film either. What the fuck was up with this plot point? I don't give a spam. God, I'm actually getting hungry for spam right about now. I'm gonna eat spam in a can and listen to this shit again. Dex tosses in a one last final message that the secret ingredient was inside all of us. That type of blah 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 blah. It's basically the same shit he says throughout the entire movie. But yeah, Priscilla Prunes gets arrested and she wants to go to the expiration date where she gets recalled. And Dex finally pops the question if Sunshine will marry her. And he does. They finally get married, and we discover Dex is Jewish. Yeah, that's actually the biggest shocker of the whole movie, that Dex is Jewish. Okay, so what? He's he's a PI, a tough guy, and he's Jewish. So what's the shocker about that one? Okay, everybody's just shocked to find out he was Jewish. Wow. They didn't explain why they didn't use a stereotypical Jewish accent for Dr. Nose. But if they did, it would be completely racist anyway. So yeah, the movie ends. We get some really stupid little sight gags throughout the whole thing, and that's Food Fight. And it's literally one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's worse than Garbage Pail Kids. And no, I take it back. Garbage Pail Kids is way worse. I mean, it's worse than Sausage Party. And, oh wait, I take it back. Sausage Party is way worse. Oh God, I actually don't like any of those movies. Sausage Party is a piece of shit. Garbage Pail Kids is a piece of shit, and this is a big steaming pile of dog shit. I gotta be honest, folks. It was a toss up either review this movie or Meet the Feebles, and I didn't actually have the stomach to sit through Meet the Feebles a second time. So I'll get to that movie some other time later on. So whatever. I do have to be honest. On a final note, is that the so-called CG graphics that we're using this, they use like a gel animation to actually make the animation look more well lively, but it just looks like crap. The original CG animation looks like it looks something like this, like a game from this era. This is a PlayStation 2 game, and it looks like a game, and it looks way better. I think it's hard to believe the same, but the But what I mean by that is, like, if you see a CG cutscene from like PlayStation 2, Xbox, or GameCube, that's what the graphics were for the original version of the movie. And Sunshine actually had a tail at some point to make her more of a cat lady, and in certain shots, they actually had Dex as a human character. What? What? I don't, I don't know. I guess originally they decided they wanted to change Dex from being a dog character to a human, but there's like something weird in post production. I don't know what the hell they were going through back then. You can actually see the original version on YouTube somewhere, but it's hard to say. It's hard to believe I'm saying this, but the original graphics were better on that version because even though it looks like a video game, it's watchable. and it's still bad. Yeah. So would I recommend anybody watch this? No. Fuck this movie. It sucks. Okay. That being said and done, I'm I'm gonna go hit the gym and then play some Red Dead Redemption 2 again. God, just thinking about this whole thing with Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm gonna go back to playing it. So y'all take care now.